Hey, I hope everyone had a good holiday. And for those of you who get depressed as hell over the holidays, I'm with you, man. It's over. You can breathe. You made it through. I made it through. We made it through. And it's done. Although I don't have aspirations to be a professional YouTuber, as I've said in the past, I do like to generally find new people to interact with on here. I like making videos, and anybody who's liked anything that they've seen of my page and want to like or subscribe, I'm grateful for all of that. I have many music related plans, not only for my channel but for me in general. I have so many cover videos I want to do, from The Ghost Inside to Third Eye Blind to 311 to Silverstein. It's just finding the time to sit down and get it all done. That's the hardest thing, it's just time. But to those who don't know me personally, I made a solo album called Communication back in 2016 that you can hear in full by going to robcarey.bandcamp.com. If you don't have a lot of time, it's just a quick half hour, 10 songs, half hour. I make my point in my songs and dip. It does not take a lot of time. So if you want to check it out, I'm very appreciative. I finally have the tools needed for the most part to create the follow-up to that album, which I've been slowly writing since 2017. It will be called Ugly Living, and when it finally becomes a existing piece of music, it will be the best thing that I've ever created. The things I want to do stretch out outside of my musical comfort zones so much, and I just can't wait to get it going. But who knows when it will be done, because I'm totally on my own. I'm not a drummer. I'm trying to learn how to play drums good and learn recording software and make up for the things I did have at my disposal when I made my first album. But I'm totally on my own, and it's happening. I don't know when, but it's happening. Today, however, I'm going to talk about, I'm going to basically make my best attempt to make America tolerable again, because people are just fucking annoying anymore, man. I'm going to talk about things that modern day conservatives and modern day Democrats do that are annoying, do nothing to help with real world issues, and things that I believe cause division in America. Not all of the division, but a good bit of it. And a lot of it just basically comes from people not knowing what the fuck they're talking about. So, not only do these topics cause division, but they're just insufferable to hear over and over again. They're just narratives that do nothing but expose the individual spouting them as living in a bubble in their own respective ways. And this is my attempt to use my tiny platform here to try to make America tolerable again. I'm going to start with the conservatives, especially the Trumpian conservatives, but it kind of applies to anybody on that side. And this is going to be hard to hear, but if there's anything you take away from this segment, this is it, okay? You haven't worked any harder than anybody else. You haven't worked any harder than anybody else. You do not know anybody that doesn't want to work, and by just bashing workers, bashing full-time workers, you're just basically making people not even want to talk to you. You're just kind of insufferable. You haven't worked any harder than anyone, and you're acting like you're against the establishment while not focusing on anything that matters. Anything that matters. You don't focus on stagnant wages. You pretend it doesn't even exist. You look in the face of stagnant wages, and you just assume that everybody living in poverty, be them someone that doesn't work at all, or someone that is a full-time worker that's juggling a house, raising a child, anything, or they just might have a cheap apartment, but they work full-time. All of these people pump their efforts into our economy. And you think because you found some kind of gig where you can live comfortably, you get in this bubble, and you assume that you've worked harder than the guy next to you. It's annoying as shit. It isn't true. You haven't worked any harder than anybody. So take that talking point and throw it in the trash, because the whole reason for there being a rise in an outcry for populism, wanting some kind of revolution. These are the reasons why. And these Trump people are acting like they're outsiders, like they're anti-establishment, but they're just feeding the problems. They're feeding the problems, okay? Wages have been stagnant for over a decade. Over a decade. And not every single job that pays shit requires somebody just flipping burgers. Like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So, if there's one thing you take away from this, it's this. You have not worked any harder than the person next to you. When you assume that the person next to you, because they have an ideological difference from you, is just some bum living in their mom's basement, you are causing division. You're causing division, and you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Basically, if you take a look on social media these days, the purpose of Trump people have just pretty much has been to serve as basically comic book villains, bashing every single idea for every single policy or attempt to assist people to combat our rigged economy. Conservatives, Trump people, these people that claim to be anti-establishment, have been nothing more than that voice of negativity to bash it. And the biggest one is childcare. I don't know if people saying this stuff just don't have kids or what it is, but anytime there's any kind of call to help with childcare, which is a scam on top of a scam on top of a scam, you just get the most dipshit responses. Like, I've even heard things as stupid as get a job. What do you think they need childcare for, genius? Childcare is basically, the childcare industry is basically a daycare owner who price gouges parents that need their services just to work. And not only do they do that, but they pay their workers, the people that do all the work, watch 20-some kids that aren't theirs, trash wages. And they run out the back door with all the money. You can't say you're okay with that and then claim to be against the establishment, claim to be some kind of outsider, some kind of rebel. You're just part of the problem. You're just part of the problem. And a lot of the policies that have caused our rigged economy are Republican-led. I know that's hard to hear, but it's the truth. Unless you found some kind of gig or you're set for life, most people know at this point that trickle-down economics is an abysmal corporate welfare failure. So if you don't have anything else to bring to the discourse than that to the table, if you don't have any talking points to bring other than assuming that the foreigners have taken your jobs and you're blaming them for all of your problems, just go back to the kids' table, man. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Just go back to the kids' table, let the adults talk. Okay, so I'm done ripping on conservatives for now. Now I'm going to go to the issue with a lot of modern-day Democrats who claim that they're leftists, but they're really not. The main issue with them is they lean too heavily on identity, and they don't care any more than the Republicans do about actual change. You're extremely insular with your language, and nobody that's actually normal wants to talk to you because you're annoying. You're hurting left-wing causes more than you help them. You got to ask yourself, are you the person that's constantly calling for ending the wars and redirecting tax dollars away from the war machine to go to health care and all these things that the people in D.C. pretend we can't afford? Or are you the cuck that's always there anytime someone normal has a mild criticism of something women do to say, "Duh, find the incel, duh"? You're useless to the discourse. You're useless. You're useless. Are you advocating for criminal justice reform? Are you advocating for getting marijuana off the Schedule 1 list to get nonviolent drug offenders out of jail, or are you looking for woke points, looking for brownie points, talking about being inclusive? Like, do you not see through? Do you not see through like everything that these corporations are doing? Like, it's all virtue signaling. It's not real. Like, if you're feeding into that, then you're not really advocating for change. You're just kind of annoying the shit out of everybody. And the big thing, okay, if you're not going to be a free speech absolutist, whether you agree with what someone is saying or not, please stop calling yourself a leftist. You're not. You're just a cock. That's all you are. I will use the latest Dave Chappelle special as an example because that was very divisive. My personal take on that is his bit on the trans community and saying that just gender is a fact or whatever. It's not something that I would get on a stage and say. It's not even like a funny, edgy joke. It was just kind of preachy. It wasn't really funny, and I wasn't really that impressed with it. And it's not something that I would do, but you have to defend his right to say those things. You have to be on the front lines at all times for things you agree with or don't agree with, unless they're causing personal harm to somebody. You have to defend their ability to express themselves through the First Amendment. If you want to cancel people, you're just doing what the Republicans were doing in 1950, and it's not a left-wing movement. You're not a leftist. You're just a turd. Like, you're just a turd, and you're hurting the movement. In an attempt to be a warrior of social justice, what are you doing? We're just bullying people. You're just still just treating people like shit. So how are you an advocate for social justice? Republicans started cancel culture, and if you're doing something to give the other side ammo to say that that's not the case, you're hurting the movement. Okay? Go with the conservatives to the kids' table. Go in your safe space, but just please, like, you're right there with them with just generally not knowing what the fuck you're talking about. At the end of the day, we have a bunch of uneducated COVID deniers and corporate welfare advocates on one side of the aisle. Then we have a bunch of pink-haired, pseudo-leftist, social justice warriors that think they're on the other side of the aisle, but they're not leftists. They're closer to over here. Like, go over there. Like, you're hurting the movement. You're both doing the same thing. What it is you're annoying the shit out of regular people. You're causing the divide, and if you actually give a shit about real left-wing issues, you're helping Republicans more than they help themselves. You need to get the fuck out of here. Neither of you are the answer to the world's problems. You are the world's problems. If you're not going to do anything for actual policy-related change, just go back to the kids' table and shut the fuck up.